Hello everyone, my name is Engineer Arjun Singh. Today I am going to tell you about static indeterminacy and kinematic indeterminacy. So let's begin. First of all, this is the first step in solving any structural analysis problem. Now, static indeterminacy is basically calculated as number of unknown reaction forces minus the number of equilibrium equations present to solve this particular problem. Now, if the value is 0, this means that the structure is statically determinate structure, and if the value is not equal to 0, then the structure is statically indeterminate. Now consider a beam which is resting on two roller supports. Now the number of reaction forces are the number of unknown reaction forces are 2, which are basically vertical in direction. Let us consider one as VA and second one as VB. So the number of unknowns are 2, and the number of equilibrium equations present to solve this particular unknowns are 2, which is one is the summation of moment, one is the summation of vertical forces. Now we have summation of horizontal forces, but since there is no horizontal force acting on the beam, there is only vertical force acting on the beam, so that is not required. These two equations are sufficient to solve the problem, so this is considered as statically determinate structure, and this can be calculated by simple solving these two equations. We can get the value of VA and VB, so the reaction forces can be calculated by simple method. Now let's consider a beam which is basically fixed from both sides. So the number of reactions are basically, one is the vertical at one end, and one is the horizontal, and one is the moment. So there are three reaction unknowns on one side, and 3 reaction unknowns on other side. So 3 plus 3 6. Let us consider there is no vertical horizontal force acting on it. There is only vertical force acting on the beam. So we'll consider only 4 unknowns. So since there are 4 unknowns, but there are only 2 equations to solve the problem, which is summation of moment and summation of vertical forces. So this is not sufficient to solve the problem. This is basically termed as statically indeterminate structure. Now in cases where this cannot be found out, we can use a different method, which is slope deflection method and moment distribution method, to find out the reaction values of VA and VB. Now moving further, we have kinematic indeterminacy. Kinematic determinacy can be basically termed as the degree of freedom of a particular joint. Now let's say I have a fixed support. It is basically, I'm considering it in a 2D plane, in a XY plane. So I'll have 3 movements which are possible. One is the horizontal movement, one is the vertical movement, and one is the moment of the particular beam. So if I have a fixed support, then these all 3 movements would be restricted, so the degree of freedom would be 0. And in case when I have a particular pin or hinge kind of a support, in that case I'll have the movement of the I'll have the moment of the particular beam, but the beam would be restricted in horizontal direction and in vertical direction. So the degree of freedom means the movement of the or the number of let's say number of directions in which the particular beam or any other structure can move. So in this case, it is in case of pin joint, it can be considered as 1, because there is only one movement along the moment. So this is the case. These are the 2 types of kinematic and static indeterminacy in structural analysis, and this is very important before analyzing any kind of structure. So thank you everyone for watching. This is all for today.